Today we're looking at the Tier 6 Dutch cruiser Kijkduin, which is now available from the Dutch cruiser event. The first impressions will be from taking the ship into battle, looking at the result of the game and then discussing what I thought of it. Now before we get into said battle, I'll just quickly run through some basic details of the ship. However, if you did want to go straight for the gameplay, you'll be able to skip forward using the timestamps on the video. Fully upgraded, Kijkduin has got 8 152 main batteries in 4 double turrets. They have got a maximum range of 14.6 kilometers and reload every 8.5 seconds. For the shells, they are very accurate with both horizontal and vertical dispersion being quite low, and that's coupled with a sigma of 2, meaning the shells will go where you tell them. As for the shells themselves, the HE shells have got an 11% fire chance and can penetrate up to 25mm of armour, so HE spamming is quite viable, and plus both the AP and HE have got incredible shell velocity at 900 meters per second, so although the firing range isn't the longest, they are still going to be getting to your target very quickly due to that, so definitely quite good. Moving on to the hit points, it's got a relatively average 32,000, which is a good number for the tier, and the armour again is also pretty average. One thing is, you can bounce some shots when you are angling, however, like many other cruisers at this tier, the 16mm bow armour will easily be overmatched, so engagements with battleships can leave you taking full penetration or even citadel damage if you're unlucky, so it's probably best that you just try to avoid them or keep them at a long distance. As for the anti-air, it isn't the worst, but it is on the lower end of the spectrum for Tier 6 cruisers, with a rating of 42, so I think one thing I'm going to be doing is using anti-air signals to give them a little boost and just help really defend my ship from any attacks. Now, the concealment is 11.5 kilometers, but with Concealment Expert this can be brought down to 10.4, and as well as this, it's also relatively quick at 33 knots and has got an 9-second rudder shift, meaning incoming shells or torpedoes are going to be easier to dodge. Plus, regarding torpedoes, you do have access to the hydroacoustic search, so that's going to make spotting them quite easy, and then the other consumable, you have got either the choice of a fighter or a spotter. Finally, Kijkduin is the first in the line to receive the airstrike consumable, which looks useful for hitting slow-moving targets. Now, the airstrike consumable has got 6 bombers, and each of those drop 6 bombs each, so 32 per drop, and each bomb does up to 5,100 maximum damage, with 32.3mm of penetration, meaning that most decks and superstructure will be quite vulnerable to this, so a well-aimed strike could prove to be rather effective. Now, with those minor details covered, we'll head into battle. Okay, here we are in game, and as it looks, we're a little bit unlucky here, as we're in a Tier 8 lineup, but thankfully the carriers on the enemy team are Tier 6s, meaning it's not going to be too hard compared to going against a Tier 8 carrier. Now, we're on the map Northern Lights, and I mean, we've got a pretty strong team over on this side, so as we are a Tier 6 ship and we are pretty much perfectly equipped to be supporting other ships rather than doing the main focusing, taking fire, etc., we're just going to be sitting a little bit further back and, well, yes, just being of support really. So now I'm going to go into my build, which is as follows. So for the upgrades, we've gone for the main armaments modification 1, damage controls systems modification 1, aiming systems mod 1, and propulsion modification 1. So all of that's just really for the added survivability for the first 2, and then the third one is for the just improved dispersion, and then in 4th place, that's just to get off the mark really quickly, because with that upgrade, it means that you're going to be able to get to full speed in 20 seconds compared to 40 seconds without the upgrade, which I think is a lot better than... Because, I mean, you can see at the moment here, the rudder shift time is pretty decent anyway. 9 seconds is a little bit sluggish, but compared to how fast we're getting off the mark here, I definitely say this is the better upgrade. Now, as for the commander, that is a 10-point commander, which is why you can see I've currently got a 10.4 spotting range here, and that's because it's the same one as that I used on my Reuter, which is Grease the Gears, Consumables Enhancement, Superintendent, and Concealment Expert, which is why we also have these extra consumables here, and they do last for a little bit longer, which is going to be certainly quite helpful with the fact of, well, these spotting aircraft are going to be very useful, I can imagine, because 14.6 kilometers isn't bad, but if we can increase that by 20%, then that's definitely going to be quite useful. Plus, if I use the attack aircraft, honestly, it's not useful, because what you'd use that for is more spotting people. So let's say someone was around this corner, a spotting aircraft, or at least a fighter would spot those ships, and then you could sort of hunt them down, but this is more of a support ship from the looks of it, and how the other ship played as well, the Reuter. then that's why I'm spotting, and also you get the additional range. So we are going to just get in a position to try and help as best as we can here. And if this guy's now, I mean, it looks like they're coming onto this side of the map instead, but I mean, once we spot something, but the Mecha is arguably, you know, I'd say rightly so, being quite hesitant, as there are 3 other destroyers on the enemy team. I mean, the kid's quite a scary one to look out for. The Kagera's, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I can see why they're waiting to see what's being spotted before doing anything else. So, I mean, what I can see so far is there is the Gnevny over there, and that's the only other destroyer we've seen, but I can't really speak for what destroyers have been spotted on our team, but I'm imagining these 2 are going to be spotted by the enemy carrier. Now, as it stands, it looks like, ooh, okay. Right, there's a Monarch here, so activating this is going to give us an additional just under 3 kilometers. So I'm going to wait for this Monarch to come forward a little bit, but as it stands, they look like they are pretty much stationary. So I think what I'm going to do, because nothing is happening, I'm going to skip ahead until something interesting does happen. Okay, interestingly, I have just been spotted here by, I'm assuming, a destroyer, so we are going to start opening fire on this Bidoni, who has decided to start shooting us as well. And yeah, the Mecha is over there too. Okay, we've got a couple of hits there. Unfortunately, because our airstrike is only 10 kilometers, we're not going to be able to use it on the Bidoni yet, but if something starts coming around one of the corners, then we will definitely use that shortly. But I'm a little bit concerned as to where that is, and I just saw shots over here. So I'm guessing the destroyer is over to the left, which is quite scary. Oh, yep, here they are. Here are the torpedoes. We need to get turning, and this is why the propeller upgrade is, well, the propulsion, sorry, is going to be very useful here. And, oh, this is going to hurt. Okay, there we go. Yes, I agree. We need to hit this as fast as we can. And the problem is I also have a Gneiser now just here. And a Gaspi as well. Oh, this is bad news. Okay, we really need to get out of here. Please don't citadel me. Okay, we've not been citadel, but yeah, we need to get out of here as fast as possible. So I'm actually going to drop a quick run over here just to hopefully flush out the kit, which is going to be good. But so far, this is already quite bad, as there's been basically total inaction from our team. And because of that, I'm just going to get out of here, because there is absolutely no reason to, stay here and support them, as they're really not doing anything at all. Now, this Gneiser now could be a really big problem here, as they spot me, they get the opening shot, and that is it. I am pretty much dead, and yep, here they are, and there's the Gaspi as well. So we need to turn, and oh no, please don't tell me the Vladivostok is going to be beaching. Okay, looks like we're good from this one, but the Gaspi is also going to be dropping some shots. Yeah, I'm going to actually say, can I have some support, please? Because I'd love some support here. But I mean, even though we've got half HP, that's still not entirely bad, because we've got hydroacoustic search going at the moment, which is protecting us from this kid's torpedoes when they do reload. And now it does look like the Gneiser now is setting their attention over to some of our teammates, so it does allow me to start just getting out of range and just hope that they don't notice me. But okay, it looks like the main guns are going for me now, but we've got 1 second left, so I'm going to drop some shots over here. I mean, I've got to say, the airstrike is really quite intuitive with how it works. I mean, it's just the fact of you press the 4 key and then you shift to zoom in, and that's really it. I mean, as for aiming, yeah, there we go. We didn't really hit anything on either of those runs, which well, it's going to need some practice, so I'm definitely going to play quite a few more games after this one, because I want to get some XP for the commander as well, just to get a few more skill points on this and make some of the games a bit more fun. But I mean, I'm sure with some practice that's going to make the higher tiers even more fun to play once I've at least not mastered, but gotten to grips with how to really aim these. I'm guessing it's because the Gneiser now was a little bit faster than I was anticipating there. Okay, here we go. So they have just fired 1 shot. I mean, yeah, we're doing a pretty good job of avoiding a lot of these shells, which is quite good. Yeah, there we go. So, I mean, dodging and weaving is quite good, so I can imagine these are probably going to be decent kiting ships, but I have heard with the Your Hand of It is quite hard to kite away if you are really showing any sides or angles or anything, so that's going to be something to watch out for once that does get released. I mean, I know a few people have already gotten it basically for free. They've gotten the first one that's only cost them 1,000 balloons to get early access to a tier 9 ship. But I mean, for anyone that didn't get that, then it's more just really wait for it to come out of being an event ship, just so you can research it instead. Because I really don't think it's worth going for the amount of doubloons it would cost to only really get a chance to get it. I mean, you do eventually get it, but that's after 72 tries, which to me doesn't really seem like a very good trade. Now, in terms of aiming, not doing too well here against this Gashby. Just a little bit short. Okay, we're finally getting some shots in. Okay, there we go. Now we've got normal view. This is a lot easier to aim, and we should be able to get the kill here. I mean, we've only done 33,000 damage, which isn't the best, but still, I mean, we are a tier 6 in a tier 8 game, so I'm not going to complain so far. We're doing quite good, but I am going to need to support our Vladivostok, who is arguably taking a massive brunt of fire, which isn't good, as it does look like this side of the map is basically collapsing in terms of the flank. And oh no. Okay, I think it's time to either head down the middle or head to the right. Okay, there is the Massachusetts here, which okay, is being spotted. I'm going to try and kite away just as much as I can with all these ships. The only thing is I don't know what's going to spot the Massachusetts unless it's this Zara, who's, I can imagine, not going to be spotting for too long since they only have 10,000 HP. So if I can get the Massachusetts to fire some shots on us and we dodge them. Oh, okay, they're actually firing high explosive, which may be worrying, because even if they don't hit us, they could incapacitate our engine. Okay, thankfully they only hit one, which is good. So we'll just keep on going this way and dodge as much as we can. I mean, apart from that initial damage that we, the damage that was initially done to us isn't really, we can't do anything about it because we've got no heals. But apart from that, honestly, I think we are managing relatively well, because we are just kiting away and doing as much damage as possible with HE. And okay, that is a problem, since now I am the only ship on this side of the map be holding the flank, which is quite scary considering, as these are tier 8 ships going against a single tier 6 cruiser, which I don't know. I mean, if I can get it out of this alive, then I hope someone drops me a couple of compliments, because this is a very tough task. Now it looks like the guys now could miss some of these. Okay, that one, only one hit there. We're all good from the Massachusetts as well. We're just going to try and set another fire and then get out of there, because we are just outside of there. Oh, outside of firing range. That means we are being pursued by the kid. I'm going to drop a Hydra now and just stop firing, because I don't really want to take any more shots if I don't need to. So once we go unspotted, then we should be safe. Now they are still firing armor piercing. I'm just going to move to the right a bit. Okay, we should be all good now. So I'm going to start turning in and maybe use this island for a bit of cover. But yeah, we're gonna need our team to do something drastically quickly, because oh no, I've just seen as well everyone is basically on this side of the map, so it is just me and the usual. So I'm going to need some intelligence data. Ooh, that is the first time I've said that. Okay, intelligence data to at least try and block the cap, and it does look like the kid is already in there, which is quite a worrying prospect. Okay, I mean, if the kid can get spotted, that's good, but the problem is these are tier 6 planes going against a kid which has got, well, if you saw my previous video, has got notoriously good AA. So this is really bad. We are not going to be able to really do anything. Okay, I'm going to sit behind this island, and then whatever we can do, I'm just going to reset as much as possible. I'm just going to say it's a kid, because this guy's having a go at the CV like he's going to be able to do something. Okay, so I'm just going to start hitting these ships, try and reset it as much as possible. And that's all we really can do at the moment. Now there's the kid. Okay, I don't really want to push forward at the moment. I mean, this Massachusetts is Yeah, they are going on a sort of suicide run here at the moment, which is kind of good because if we can get them to beach, then we can possibly set them on fire, get a permafire, and kill them. But the only thing is, our cap is being taken, which is really bad. You know, I think I'm going to have to just do the ultimate sacrifice here, kill myself just so I can get some cap resets. I think that's the only thing I'm going to be able to do because there's really not much time until... Yeah, here we go. Okay, there's the Monarch. Okay, we need to be careful here. And if I can get another shot off, I'm going to try and hit the Gneiss now as well, just to give us a few more precious seconds, but I do think that is going to be it. Okay, that's one defended. This is going to be a Citadel, maybe. Yeah, that's double Citadel. Okay, can we hit the Monarch? Okay, we did defend it, so we've gotten a bit of time off. But that really is for this game. I've got... And that right there is game. From the looks of it, my suicide run actually turned the tide of the game, which I find is pretty amazing considering it's a tier 6 ship. And I managed to get the game to be won by shooting some of the tier 8s, even though it was definitely a death sentence. And I probably could have turned Bow in instead and possibly lived a little bit longer to reset the caps, but I still managed to do enough there just to allow our team to get the cap points instead. Honestly, in terms of damage, I've got to say it's okay. I mean, it's a tier 6 ship, and I mean, yeah, it's a decent amount of damage there, but we were going against tier 8s, and they were pushing us. It's basically an entire flank I had to hold off there, with only really the Weser giving me some help there, because the Vladivostok got knocked out quickly, and the rest of it was kiting. And overall, I do think that was definitely quite good in this situation. It was, but that's why I'm going to discuss another game very shortly after we've gone over this, just to really compare it. Now, on the team score, we did manage to come 3rd place because we did hit quite a few tier 8 ships, which gives us a bit more damage, so overall I'm quite happy with that being 3rd place at tier 6 in a tier 8 game. Then, as for the detailed report, you can see, yeah, here we have got the Massachusetts where we did the majority of our damage, 30k. For the Gneisenau, tier 7, still higher tier, 27k, and then negligible amounts on other ships there. Which... it's quite good, but again, it's quite a niche situation because you may not find yourself in positions like that too often. Now, this is what's going to move me on to the next point, which is a different game I had. So, from the first game, what you just saw, my impressions are it's definitely a bit of a HE spammer, and you're going to have to do so at range because you've not got a repair party, and your armour really isn't the best, so as soon as you start taking any forms of damage, you are going to be in some pretty serious trouble. So you really need to be kiting away, or you need to be hidden behind something and let your team spot. So it's definitely somewhat reliant on really having your team to spot, or, well, yeah, if your team isn't there, like it was this game, it's more a fact of, okay, you have to wait for the enemies to fire, and then you shoot, and then you start dodging and weaving. Otherwise, if you do have a teammate to spot like a destroyer, then it is still good from behind an island. Now, this game here, it was unfortunately a defeat, but you'll notice I managed to do significantly more damage, nearly twice as much at 116,000, which at tier 6 I'd say is a pretty okay amount of damage. But this same situation applied, because if we move over to the team score, you will see this is a tier 8 game, and actually the same thing pretty much happened. However, there was a lot more resistance. We had more ships on the side of the map, meaning I had a lot more time to better position myself, get some distance in, and then when my teammates died, I could then start opening fire at range. And a lot of the battleships, because it was versing the, I believe it was the New Mexico, I think it was the Colorado. Yeah, the Colorado was quite far away, and then there was also a Fuso plus a couple of cruisers that were there too. And that was effectively just allowed me to get in a good position. So when you're in a good position, it seems like this is definitely a ship for kiting because you can sort of get off the mark quite quickly, you can turn rather well, and the range is quite good, especially when you have got the spotting aircraft, because that allowed me to get really far away, pop that, and then I could fire at an even longer range, giving me more chance to avoid shots, which is exactly what I did, and I did manage to come top of the team here, but unfortunately we did still lose with only 2 ships remaining. That was mainly because the time ran out. As you can see, we did have an Amagi and a Weser on our team, which I am fairly confident could have knocked out those other ships. But even so, I've got to say, this is a HE spammer that needs to be in cover, and you just need to be careful with how you play and really think about your positioning and where your teammates are. Now, looking at the detailed report, you can see how much damage I managed to inflict here. So, 12,000 on the Galisonnaire, which is quite good, and that's the only ship that I sunk. The Tier 8 Flandre, 30k, Colorado 24k, Fuso 23, and New Mexico 18k. So battleships are certainly the targets here. I did try and get some airstrikes on, but I didn't really yeah, I didn't really do too much damage there, and well, I didn't do any damage actually, you can see. Bombs released, yeah, 60, and instead we only got 0 bomb hits, but that still needs practice. And then the lightning just did a negligible 1.8k. Now, in terms of dealing with destroyers, because I did play a couple of games after this just to really test it out, and it does seem to be quite adequate at taking out destroyers, but you do need to be at a decent range to do any damage. But thankfully, because you've got that high accuracy, then you are going to be able to hit them at least, which is quite good. So, apart from that, that really is it for my first impressions. I do think it's definitely quite a good line, or at least it's a good ship. I'm not entirely sure about the rest of the line, and it is quite fun, as I was quite enjoying some of these games, but it has a somewhat higher skill floor and does require you to be very, I guess, alert. You need to be knowing what's going on, so you can't be sort of watching a video and paying a lot of attention to that, because you do need to do a lot of attention paying to the game, such as positioning, where your enemies are, where your teammates are, etc. So you do need to be very active in it, but I think with some practice you could definitely get some decent scores in this. So from that, I am really looking forward to trying out the next ship up in the line. But with all that said, that is the end of the video. So if you have found this entertaining or just generally enjoyed it, then make sure to leave a like, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. So I'll see you in the next one.